and welcome to today's show. I have an amazing guest on today. Her name is Sara Call, and she is the creator and founder of Single Moms Thrive and Tribe, a community of ambitious single women who refuse to live the stereotypical life that society paints for them. I think that's so cool. And she teaches women how to tap into their inner nature and show up as their truest selves. And this is what Sara is passionate about. Sara is also a certified Reiki practitioner. She's been a single mom for over 15 years. Wow, that's a long time for 2 kids. Wow, that's amazing. And she also leads moon ceremonies and sistership circles and absolutely loves the transformation her clients receive. That's so cool. And her mission, listen to this, to help women, especially single moms, remember who they are at a soul level so that they can unlock their superpowers to live life full out and on their terms. I think that's beautiful. That is so cool. And with that, welcome to the show, Sara Call. How are you today?
Thanks. I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me on. This is so exciting.
Yeah. And I love that. I'm happy you're on today's show because on my podcast, we talk a lot about building one's relationship with themselves in order to better all aspects of their lives. And I think your bio here, in reading that and getting to know what you're doing, is really, really cool. And this may sound silly. So Sara and I are half brother and sister, but I live far away. I don't visit her very often, and I'm new to what you're doing here. And that's amazing. So tell the listeners a little bit more about what you do. Why did you get into doing this? And I guess maybe a little bit about your own transformation. So yeah, why did you get into this?
Sure. Okay. So as you do know, I did quit corporate America January of 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before the big shitstorm happened, right? So I quit my job because I wanted to open a brick and mortar spa. Mm-hmm. And I got really close. And then November of 2020, I decided to pull the plug because, construction still wasn't done. Investors had dropped out with all of the whole pandemic mess, and I was running out of money. And so, and to be very honest, the biggest reason why I decided to drop the spa is because it didn't align with me anymore. So of course, my whole nature was like, you can't give up, you got to keep pushing, people want this. I've been talking about it for a long time now, and it was a huge heartbreak for me to let go of the spa, for sure. But one thing, when I was going through the spa and, doing all that stuff, I ended up investing in myself through masterminds and coaching programs. And I realized that there's all these people around me who were creating a living working online. And, working for themselves. And I had surrounded myself with all these entrepreneurs, and I was like, I can't go get a job. Like, I don't think I'm hireable anymore. I really, I have seen the light. Yeah. And not that having a job is bad, but when you have a personality like mine, I just knew that I wouldn't be happy if I wasn't home with my kids. And if I, was taking a job that, unless it was like the awesome unicorn job that fell out of the sky that was so perfect for me, I just wasn't interested. So I decided to pivot into the online space. And a big component of the spa, it wasn't just like come and feel good. It was also like, this is going to be a gathering place. We had a very large room that we could have moon ceremonies and sistership circles, and also just sound baths. And a lot of it was geared toward women, but of course, men were always welcome to come.
And can I interject here real quick? What is a moon ceremony? Just for those who aren't familiar, I'm not familiar myself, actually.
Yeah, no, it's actually just a way for you to kind of honor yourself and honor your inner feelings. And the moon has this capability in our lives, just like the tide, right? Like the ebbs and flows of the tide. So if we follow, in ancient times, they used to follow the cycles of the moon, and not to get TMI, but even women's cycles would follow the cycles of the moon. And it was just very symbolic. And so to join a moon ceremony, there's all different kinds. So there's not really one thing, but basically the whole, what's it called? Outcome, I guess, is really, it's a chance for you to kind of release something that's really holding you back. And a limiting belief, we all have these limiting beliefs.
Hmm.
And also a good time to set an intention of where you want to go, like kind of proclaim it to the world. So it's, and then inside that circle, the energy becomes so intense that it really just bonds you with those people that are in that circle with you. So it's a it's a way for you to kind of get into community also that way. It's a way for you to be able to release things and just empower yourself. So it is pretty awesome. And I recommend it for anybody that they have them online now too. I'm kind of trying to figure out how to put those online. Um, but so anyway, I'll have to invite you to the next one because it can be really powerful just for your inner self. And even JC would probably really like something like that. So
Yeah, that would be way cool. Do invite us because that would be neat. I'd like to
yeah.
see what how is your process, how you go about that. I think that's so huge. And I like what you said, that this is an empowering process. I feel like a lot of people, and sometimes myself included, we're held back, or we feel held back, or we hold ourselves back, and we don't feel like we're able to do what we want to do, whatever that is. And I think that's when a person feels empowered, that's when they get things done. That's when their dreams start coming true. And that's powerful. That's cool.
Yeah. Um, Okay, so that's the basics of the moon ceremony. They can
Mhm.
be for so many different things. So definitely check those out. But one reason, so we're talking about me kind of transitioning to the online space, right?
Mhm.
And I think the reason that I felt so drawn to that is because I have I have started to realize that for me, I kind of always had this like teacher mentality, and even from growing up, right? Like I always wanted to like kind of help you guys and explain, and even just my whole life, I guess I've always kind of like to be that person that can figure stuff out. I still enjoy it. Like I'm a researcher. I love to learn. And so I just knew that this online space was for me. And to be honest, I had felt like I needed to help women for years and years and just never knew I could explore that relationship with myself, right? Like how can I break into this when I still struggle myself with things, right? I think that's one of the very biggest limiting beliefs for all of us is we know that there's something inside of us that we can help others in some way, or we can change something in some way, or even a process at your current position at your job. You have this feeling like, oh, if I could just like help them understand this, it could change the whole production process or whatever that is. So
Right.
I think, like I think we all have that inside of us, but it holds us back because we're like, what if they don't like it? What if I can't do that?
Mhm.
Like what? So these feelings, which come up every day, right? I don't think they ever go away. I have talked to some of the richest people I've ever met, and they never go away, right? These limiting beliefs. So I just knew that I needed to help people, and I am very drawn to single moms in particular because I have been a single mom for so long,
You've got the
and
experience. Yeah.
yeah, got the experience. I've gone through many of the trials and struggles, and I just don't. And I think that with single women and single parents on the rise in general, I mean, there are a lot of single dads now too, um, but we need the help. Like, like I wouldn't go out to like try and get into the best shape of my life and not hire a personal trainer. And
Right.
like and a lot of us are okay with going to a therapist to heal our trauma, or
Mhm.
like, and now things like Reiki are becoming, like energy work is becoming so much more accepted because we're like, oh, why are we trying to do everything ourselves, right? Like why?
Right.
And this whole new wave of coaching and mentoring and this whole new online atmosphere is so beautiful because once you can really tell yourself that, okay, I want to fast track this, maybe I don't need the help, but if I want to take years off of this process, then I can hire this person because look at where she is or look at where he is, and I can learn from their mistakes and not have to do those things.
Right.
So, which is huge for me. And I know that if you listen to like Tony Robbins or Dean Graziosi, like they always talk about that, how they compacted decades into years because they wanted to figure it out faster. And
Right.
so this whole new wave is so awesome to me. And so that's kind of where I landed into creating my own business online, is
I
so that
love
I
that.
could I could change my personal life. And I think as a single mom, I always kind of told myself I'd never be able to have my dream job, right? Like I'd never be able to be home with my kids and make money, and I didn't want that anymore because my son is 15, right? He's almost 16 years old, and I want to be home now, and I want to impact my kids the way that, and show them that they can live the lives they want to live.
I like that. That's so cool. And so what made you get into this? Yes, you love helping people. You've always loved people, but do you have any personal relation? Like have you made changes in your life? What were you like before versus how you are now, and what's different?
Okay. So we were raised very much like, when it rains, it pours, right? Like, right. We've heard that a million times. I've said that personally a million times. Um, that very much mentality that like money doesn't come easily, money is very hard to find, and when you get it, it's usually for bills, and that's about it. So I think that I was introduced to
Wow.
Network marketing is actually kind of where my personal development journey began. I was going through a divorce. I had a little marriage in my single motherhood. It was about a year long, but it's going through this divorce, and kind of at rock bottom. Didn't like the way I looked in the mirror. Didn't like, just very depressed. And a friend reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm gonna join this company, and I want to lose some weight. So do you want to do it with me?" And it was perfect timing. I said yes. Our upline, right? We call it an upline, was very smart and got me to my first event. And at that event, I don't think I stopped crying. It was just like this massive relief to hear these people talk about bettering yourself. Like that I have all of the power inside of me to change my life. And that journey right there was really what set my course, right? Like, it did start with network marketing, and that's one thing I think network marketing is above all brilliant for, is that we can, there are these thought leaders that have gone before us that can teach us that everything up here is really what's going to take you where you need to go.
Oh, I
So
like
if
that.
you're right, if your thoughts are telling you, I think I kind of know where this came from when I was growing up, but a lot of what I would tell myself on a daily basis was like, I'm not good enough. I will never be good enough for that. I'm too fat. I'm too ugly. I'm unlovable. I'm right. Like every single mean thing you could say, I was telling myself those things, thinking that, I think it was like a backward process. Like, if I say these things, they'll give me motivation to lose the weight. They'll give me motivation to, change who I am, or to get the degree, right? Like, we're always like, I didn't get the degree, so I must be less than or something. So to
Yeah, a lot of
change
people
that
think
thought
that.
process, yes. And now we're kind of seeing like, why would you get the degree, right? When you have all of these ways to learn online and fast track your success without having $100,000 worth of debt, why would I do that? Right.
Right,
And I
right.
love that millennials are kind of like taking that course and just like, no, we're not settling for the status quo. We're going to change the world. And
Right.
like that whole thought process. So I think personal development is the very first thing. I was always against it because all I ever heard was self-help, right? Self-help. And I was like, I don't need
Right.
any help. I'm pretty dang cool. I can do this. But personal development is just beautiful, and it will take you into parts of yourself you didn't know existed. You'll find strength in yourself that you had no clue was there. So if any of you are dabbling in the personal development world, I challenge you to go full in with 2 feet, because your thought process is what needs to change before you can make a move. Before you'll see any type of change in yourself, you have to change your thoughts.
See, and I love that. I love that. But well, I shouldn't say always. I often say, our life is what we make of it. And the reason that is because our reality is a reflection of our inner beliefs. If we feel like we deserve something, odds are we're probably going to go after it and get it. But if we don't feel worthy, or we don't feel good enough, we don't feel like we deserve something, we don't usually get what we want if we don't feel like we deserve that, or we're good enough for that. And that's so true. That's huge. And we know that consistent thoughts lead to consistent feelings. And when you have these consistent thoughts and feelings, that leads to actions. And when you continually feel this way, act this way, that leads to habits. And then that develops your lifestyle. And that ultimately develops your experience, whether that's good or bad, positive, negative, right? And that's so true. That's so true. What is Can you take us on a little bit of your journey? If you don't have to get too personal, if it's too personal, but I think seeing someone's transformation is super powerful. What did you do with when those thoughts, or what do you do on a daily basis? What do you do on a weekly basis? What do you do when those thoughts that you're not good enough, that you're ugly, or that you're, whatever negative thought that comes to your mind, what do you do to challenge those, to replace those, to overcome those?
Awesome. Yeah. So, um, a big thing that I learned years ago that has probably helped me the very most is to completely stop your thought process. So you have to be very conscious of, okay, so this is a pattern that I used to go down, and sometimes I'll still catch myself, and I just have to stop. And so what it is like I'll be driving and I'll get this thought like, or like I saw a news article like this mom drowned her kids or something completely awful, right? Just completely terrible. And then I'll kind of
Mhm.
start thinking about it like it's my own story. And then you go down this like spiral, right? I call it like the downward spiral. And you're like, oh my gosh, what if this happened and this happened? And I'll catch myself like in tears and completely emotionally, I don't know, like in fear and anxiety. And then so it's like, so this is kind of what I would do. It was seriously just like wake up. Like, are any of those things real? Are any of the things you just thought about real, Sarah? Okay, then change your thoughts. So it was very like, and sometimes like I did, you and I went to a seminar a long time ago with the rubber band, and I would keep that rubber
Mhm.
band, and sometimes I would just like flick it to remind me like all of that thought process was fake. It was fake. And even on the flip side, if y'all are dreaming about winning the lottery, you've got to interrupt that thought. You're not going to win the lottery, right? No one is coming to save you. You have to save
Right.
yourself.
Right.
So
Love
I
that.
think, yes, with both sides. And it was just like, because I don't know what is in me, like, but I would often think of like if my child died or if my mom died or, like if my house caught on fire, just like these weird random thoughts. And I think that a lot of us do because it is in our news, it's in our media, we see it all the time
We're
that
being
we're
programmed.
constantly,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah, it's being conditioned, if you will. It's like that acronym of fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real, right? FEAR, false evidence
yes.
appearing real, and that's all it really is. And that's powerful. That's powerful. So you actually clap your hands and say, "Stop thinking of that." That's what you do, or is
I,
that in your head? You do that?
No, I'll do it. If I'm driving, it's kind of like this. Or sometimes if it's like so awful, I'll literally like kind of smack, like not hard, but I'll be like, wake up. Like, what are you're not thinking clearly, right? Like
That's
you just went
cool.
down a whole path that was incorrect from the very first thought. It was
Mhm.
all fake. It was all made up. It's not going to happen to you. So
Right.
because our thoughts, right? Like this whole manifesting, this whole new thing that's coming along that's teaching us that our thoughts are programming everything that comes into our lives. So if you are sitting at home and you are saying when it rains it pours because your dishwasher just broke, your washing machine is on the verge, your fridge is barely holding up or whatever it is, I've been there. And the reason I've been there is because I thought that way. But
Mhm.
if you can just change that thought and just be like, it's an appliance, appliances go out, I got to figure it out. I'm going to hop on KSL and find a cheaper option. I'm going to, we just have to stop these things and stop thinking that we're such a victim because a lot of times life is happening. Well, I think all the time life is happening for us and not to us. And it's always about how we see the perspective of what's happening in our lives.
I love that. I
So,
love that. And I think you hit a really a sensible target or an idea that life always happens, and what we think programs our life. I love how I think that's brilliant. What we think, in a sense, causes things to happen in our lives, or causes us to become aware of things, or to attract things, or both of those things type deal. And that's powerful. And it's interesting. You said that the media, that this is social media, this is the news, this is our TV shows, the things we like to watch and entertain us, things we're surrounded by, people even uh, are trying to program us to think negatively. I think that's huge. I think that's powerful. It's important to become aware of that so that you don't become subdued by that, because it's so hard to live. If you want to live maybe this level of life, but you're surrounded with the environment of this level, it's really hard to get out and get there if you're not aware of your environment. Most people become their environment, right? We're succumbed by it. And that's
Yes.
powerful. That's so important to understand. I love that. That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
Um, tell us, you talked about energy work. I think some people are really into it. Some people understand that. I'm a licensed massage therapist. I too am a Reiki practitioner, right? That was part of massage school. And so I'm aware of energy healing. But for those who aren't, or those who are skeptical, why do you include that with what you do to help other people change their lives, to transform and become their best, their greatest and best self? Why do you include Reiki? What's Reiki about?
Yeah, Reiki is mostly just embodying the powers that are beyond us, right? We all believe in something, whether it's God or source or universe. And and so it's really taking that. Oh, see, I get chills right now. And that's another thing. I have learned that for me personally, when I get chills, it means I am on the right, I am saying what I need to be saying, or I'm doing what I need to be doing. So follow your own cues
Good.
because they're huge, right?
Yes,
So
they're so important.
so
Yes.
Reiki, yeah. Like I have one of my best friends, she gets it in her knees and she'll just like, her knees will just be like, she's like, they're just on fire, you know? So just know like where your energy, like when you're tapping into source, like where is that coming from? And then once you figure out what it is, like don't ever leave that feeling, no matter how asinine it feels or how weird it is, because you're like, that's not going to work, but you got to follow those feelings. So Reiki really is about getting your energy centers and kind of clearing them out, because we get all this energy and a lot of times it's very negative energy that just kind of just wiggles down into our muscles or our energy centers, and it just makes us feel like crap and it stays with us. You know,
Mm.
that saying where it feels, they say like it feels like 20 pounds just got lifted off my shoulders.
Right, right.
Right, like that's a very common saying that we've heard our whole lives. And that is usually like when somebody has a conversation they didn't want to have, you know, like went and asked for a raise they didn't think they were going to get, went and, you know, things like that. But the reason why it feels like that is because you were so afraid of what that outcome could be that you decided to keep it with you. You probably had it for months, you know, if not weeks, that were like, I'm not good enough for this raise. Why would they give me a raise? What can I say that I deserve one? What, you know, like you thought about it for way too long instead of taking action. So all those negative things just kind of burrowed down right inside of you.
And
I get
literally
my
inside of you.
inside of you. And
Mhm.
it's incredible when you start to realize that your physical body is really made up because of what's going on in, you know, like your heart and your emotional state, your spiritual state, your mental state, and then we have our physical. But we are just so taught to focus only on our physical that when those other three things are feeling off, they just manifest into the physical, right? And
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, so I think that for me personally, um, I've always struggled with my weight because I've never understood until very recently, like about a year or 2 years ago, that it was because I was always trying to not love myself. I was always trying to push away anything inside of me that felt like I was accepted and I was worthy. And that really was an awakening for me, because I realized, like I've always known it, but once you realize something, like my kids are seeing me, right? So if my
Mhm.
kids are seeing me not love myself, but they're hearing me say things like, you have to love yourself. You've got to, you know, make sure that you wake up so you're not running out the door every day. You got to make sure you're putting good food in your body. But then they see mom doing things that are, you know, like I'm rushing because I'm late. I'm eating crap because I'm on the run. And, you know, like stuff like that, then they're going to do that. They're not going to do what I'm telling them to do.
Exactly. Yep. They're going
Right.
to follow your example. And I like how you said that the way you felt about yourself caused you to act certain ways. That's important. That's so important to realize. But sorry for interrupting. I
Yeah.
wanted to point that out. That's so important.
No, I think that has been the biggest thing for me, because you know, about when I started about 2 years into like taking these products from my network marketing company, I was feeling a little bit better, but then I had this huge anxiety pattern and stress, and it was to the point where I broke my body, right? Like I burned out my adrenals, nothing was working. I wasn't able to lose weight no matter how restrictive I was. And it wasn't until I was able to tell myself, stop restricting yourself. You are so worth everything you want. So recently, and I haven't seen you for a while, so you might not know, but recently I've lost 30 pounds. And
Whoa.
right,
Wow.
yeah,
Congratulations.
huge.
That's
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank you. And I know that it's because I'm very conscious with what goes in my body now. And on a level of, I have not said I can't have anything, right? I can have whatever I want to have.
Mhm.
But I do look at it and I'm like, okay, I have this awesome meeting that I've been looking forward to, and I know I can change these women's lives. But if I have that bad, that brownie and that ice cream inside of my body, that's very low vibration and I'm going to feel low.
Right.
But
Mhm.
if I have something from the earth, like if I saute some zucchini and some shrimp or something really, really awesome, I'm going to feel so good. And
Mhm.
that's going to manifest itself because it's going to make me like, I'll be like on my game, I'll be able to focus, all these things that we're taught about our physical body. I really wish that we were taught about our mental state, right? Because I think that a long time ago I
Yes.
would have learned to love myself more, and that's where it came from, is starting to love myself. So if I'm craving the brownie, then I keep asking myself, okay, why am I craving it? If I'm craving it for 5 hours and I've been telling myself no, I might let myself have a bite or two, right? Like, okay, for some reason you can't get over this, so let's just figure out why.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
you have to be very conscious and ask yourself these things because you probably were not asked these things as a child. You probably were
Mhm.
not given this instruction as to, okay, you are feeling a lot of anxiety. I can tell by the way you're acting, little Sarah, right? Like I can tell that you have a lot of anger inside of you or whatever, and you weren't taught how to talk about it or to get it out of you. And which is not like anyone's fault or anything. It's just new information, right? So I
Right.
honestly believe our parents do the best that they can.
Mhm.
But a lot of times it's not what we need. And even I feel like, like, oh, I've done so many things different than my parents. And I thought like me and my son are just going to be the best of friends forever. And guess what? A 15-year-old son doesn't want to hang out with his mom very often, does he?
Right. I can see, I could understand, right?
Yeah.
I
So
like, let me say this real quick. I like what you said there because I think that is a very powerful principle that we all could demonstrate or implement, implement in our lives is when it goes back to being suppressed. When we feel suppressed, we have our inner being wants to rebel against that, right? Whatever the suppression is, even if it's meant to help us, like, hey, don't smoke cigarettes, right? That's bad. You're going to hurt your lungs, hurt your body, hurt your brain, whatever. But then that becomes a form of suppression. It's like, well, I want to find out because, well, I never got to be around this. I think a common pattern, and this is coming from a relationship expert, right? A common pattern that I'm seeing with a lot of people is pornography. And whether you think that's good or bad, that's your personal choice. But a lot of people are stuck with that, and it's ruining their relationships. It's ruining their value that they feel for themselves. They feel unworthy, things like that. And one of the most freeing, one of the most enabling things is that principle that you shared right there. It's don't suppress yourself from it. Love yourself, become aware of it. So what I've actually started advising, what I've done with myself with addictions that I have, because I really like sugar, just like you're talking with brownies and ice cream, is I now say, hey, it's not that you can't have those things. Go ahead and have whatever you want, and then really be aware of how you feel. And I've started to notice through just doing that, like, hey, I'm free. I can have that if I want to, but I don't want to because I know that makes me feel bad physically, or I know that makes me feel lower or worthless or unworthy, those type of things. And that has really enabled me to stop doing those harmful things, whether that's drugs, whether for me that's sugar, whether that's for other people who are stuck on pornography, whatever it is, thought processes, right? Some people are addicted. We're all addicted to our thought processes, but learning that, hey, it's not that I can't have that. It's that I love myself. I'm aware that doesn't add to my character, add to my being to become my highest and best self. I love that. I think that's such an enabling principle. Like, hey, don't suppress yourself, be free with yourself, and you be the chooser, not the chosen one, right? You
mhm.
choose your life, you take action, you be proactive, and you love yourself. Show yourself that you're worthy, show yourself that you're valuable because you love yourself, not based on what anyone else thinks, not based on anything that you you shouldn't do, you can't do, right? That is so enabling. And
Yes.
I love that you brought that up, because a lot of people don't find that out ever in life, ever in life.
Mhm.
And they live a suppressed life, and they have this secret side of themselves where they're doing things and they don't think other people know, or maybe other people don't know. But it weighs them down. It keeps them feeling worthless, those type of things. And really, you don't have to have that. That's powerful. I like right there. That's a wow moment for me. And thank you for bringing that up, because I don't think that's ever been brought up on this show before. But it's such an enabling principle to know. Love yourself, and that equals freedom. Really, it does. Allow
Right.
yourself to do those things. You know, if someone's stuck, this might sound weird, but for pornography, if you're stuck on that, and and we can include masturbation. I know TMI, but you include that, hey, you know what, instead of hiding and suppressing yourself, just go all at it, and just be free with it. And you're going to
Yeah.
start to learn and say, hey, serving me. When you learn about sexual transmutation, and for men with testosterone, like, hey, when you don't give into those addictions, you start building up that testosterone, you start changing that energy into building the life that you want to have. You feel very powerful, happy, and fulfilled. And the difference from being, hey, I shouldn't do that, but I'm going to, hey, I don't want to do that because I love being
Mhm.
here. World of difference. That is so powerful. I love that. So thank you for bringing that
Yeah.
up. I love that. That's amazing. That's so amazing. And you're right with vibration. Tell us more about emotions. Why should we pay attention to emotions? Why do we have emotions? Some people, they want to run away from emotions. They don't want to acknowledge emotions. But why are emotions important, do you think?
Yeah. I think being a human is so beautiful. And because we are human, we have emotions, right?
Hmm.
Because we are mammals, really, like animals have emotions too. But because we were
Right.
gifted to be like the highest mammals that are on this planet, we get to navigate emotions. And how lucky that we are, right?
Hmm.
And it's polarity. Like our whole world is polarity. So you cannot be the highest of the high, the happiest you've ever been in your life if you haven't experienced the lowest, right?
Oh,
You
wow.
cannot,
Yeah.
you cannot. So for me, one thing, and it's been about just the last 6 months, if I'm being really transparent with you, is that I have to sit in my bad feelings. And I have to, so I used to run away, right? I used to like go make a cocktail and then have 5 cocktails because this anxiety inside of me was so real and so hard. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't have any tools in my tool belt how to figure this out. So now what I know is, okay, you're feeling a lot of anxiety and you want to drink and you want to go eat a lot of bad food. So why do you want to do those two things? What comfort is going to give you right now? So a lot of times I'm getting better at doing this quicker, but most of the time I still need to go into my bedroom and close the door and let my family know I can't be disturbed for about a half hour. And I just have to sit with myself. And a lot of times it's just really letting myself cry it out, letting those feelings manifest themselves into tears and get out of my body.
I
Or
love
it's
that.
like I need to scream into a pillow until my voice is gone because I have so much anger of whatever situation there was. And that's the healthiest way for me to get it out of my body, right?
Hmm.
Or like dancing. Another big thing that I love to do now is like blaring some music that makes me feel so awesome, usually some 90s hip hop or something, really cool. And then just dancing it out. And if you don't dance, then go in a room and shut the door because no one's going to see you. But there's all this energy inside of us. And if we're not letting it constantly move, it's going to sit there and it's going to be stagnant. So we've got to let that out, even the good energy, right? Like we are
Right.
made to like have it come in, go out, circulate a little bit. We're not made to like just sit in one energy all the time.
Right.
So we have to experience these bad things only so that we can experience the good things. But if we are
Love that.
constantly running from the bad, like I would run because anxiety, I've felt for a very long time that Western medicine is not my number one. Absolutely, I see the way that it helps people, and so I'm not against it or anything either. But I feel like for me, it's I want not taking care of my body and like I don't know, just putting all these chemicals into my body really kind of screwed me up, right? So I've gone very natural with things, and and I think that that's a huge process in my life and actually a lot of other people's because it's very empowering for you. to be able to say, okay, if I eat this food, I'm going to feel like this, it's going to be better. I'm going to start raising my immune system, which in turn helps me raise my vibration, right? And
Yeah.
and when we talk about vibration, it's about how we're feeling about ourselves, about what's going on around us. So if you're constantly like being around people that are negative a lot or bringing you down, if you are living in a situation that when you walk in the door, you're like, oh, like those are all things that are going to create your energy to be low, right?
Right.
So when we talk about you're not as strong as your environment, you're not. You are not as strong as your environment. So you have to change the things around you, the people around you, and even if it's online. Most of my friends these days are online because when the pandemic hit, you know, like we all had to start reaching out via Zoom. And I realized that a lot of my friends that I have here in person just are not on my same path right now. And that doesn't mean I don't love them any less, but it does mean that if I don't change my circumstance, that I will not change my life. Right. And that is a scary thought to me because I don't want to live the life that I was living. Right.
Yeah.
I want to change it. I want to be happier. I want to have more money. I want to, all these things that we want, they're okay to want. Right. We don't want things just because we're these evil people. We want things because we can help change our circumstance. We can help change the world. And if I change my circumstance, I change my children's circumstance, right? And then it changes the way they show up in the world and who they impact in their lives. And let me just, I can help. Go ahead.
Let me brag on you here just a little bit with that specific thing. So Sara has this, you said Jake's 15 now. He's 15-year-old. Yeah. And he's on the varsity soccer team, which is impressive. What is that? Is he 9th or 10th grade?
He's in 10th grade.
He's in 10th grade and he's already on the varsity soccer team. Like that is impressive. And I don't think that would have happened had you not been changing and doing transformative work on yourself throughout your life. I think that's powerful. And he, you know, I don't know, I don't keep up with soccer and the world football, but he, to me, seems like he could be a professional player one day. And I don't know if you guys are working towards that, you and him, but that is powerful. I loved playing soccer. I know our mom would have us go play soccer. That was really fun, right? And I loved that, but I never had the dream to go there. And I think because you started seeing a bigger picture, sorry, that was a little squeak there, a bigger picture, that you enabled him, you helped him to see a bigger picture. I think that's huge. I think that's beautiful, wonderful. And I wanted to point that out because you've made some changes. And like you said, our parents did the best they knew how, and they learned from their parents and try to make changes to do better than their parents, right? And we're just doing the same thing. We're just trying to be better parents ourselves. And I think you've done a beautiful job in that aspect. I think he's got a big vision, and you're helping him see that because you're making changes. That is so cool. That is so cool. And in talking about our emotions, or did you have more to say? Because I cut you off. Did you want to finish that thought? I apologize.
Just really quick, actually, with what you just said is, because I'm sure a lot of parents are listening to this, right? Like a lot of us have kids, and I want you to know that with Jake and now with my daughter, but at a young, I think Jake was probably 8 or 9 when I started this. But I would have him lay in bed, and at night before I would leave him, I would say, okay, what does the pitch smell like? And the pitch is the grass, right? What does it smell like? Who's on your right? Who's on your left? What goal are you going to make tonight? And I want you to visualize that play, and I want you to visualize it until you fall asleep. And so the years go by, and this kid is advancing. He's advancing. And then we get to like junior high and high school, right? And it gets a little harder. But last week, my son comes home and he's like, oh, you're going to love this. And I said, what? And he goes, there's this kid on my team, because they just went to the quarterfinals on Friday. And unfortunately, they didn't win. But there's this kid on my team, and he was like, and he's one of the captains. And he was like, you guys, are you trying to manifest this? Are you thinking about it? Are we going to win this? You know? And he's like, and he just kept saying like manifest and visualize. And I was like, oh, my mom's gonna love this kid. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, awesome parents that he has, Jake. Like, I'm like, you'll see especially in that realm, right? If you are not laser focused on your goal, you won't make it. There are too many people out there. And I feel like that's kind of the same for all of us. So we have to take the noise out. We have to be willing to do the hard things of changing our life, like TV. That was one of the very hardest things for me to get rid of. And now, and I still watch TV. Sorry. I still watch TV, but I don't have like shows, right? Like I'll sit down and watch a show if there's nothing else to do. There's, we've got Netflix and stuff. That's awesome. But I used to be like, oh my gosh, it's Wednesday night. I gotta watch this. It's this. And I found that was another form of telling my brain, like, oh, because that person cheated on that person in that video. That person, there was a lot of crime in that video. There was a lot of
environment.
Negative, yes. And so I think that just really internalizes into our heads, especially if you're very empathic like me. A lot of us here are. We internalize other people's emotions. And, I would find myself crying for people I didn't even know on TV. And you're just like, okay, it's got to stop somewhere, right? Like, it's okay to cry if there's a touching moment.
Yeah.
But I think that we all kind of get caught up in TV, and these fake realities become kind of like our friends, right? Like these situations that are completely made up, just like we were talking about before, kind of become like things that we think about, talk to our coworkers about, our friends about, and it's all fake. And so that's the one thing, right? Is we've got to kind of like, pick a couple shows and then make sure you're getting off the couch for the rest of the night, or vice versa. Don't get on the couch until it's like 9 p.m. and you got one show or something.
Right. Be proactive about it. Don't give yourself a negative environment right before bed, because that's a great time to program your subconscious to program the way you feel on a consistent basis, right? So be proactive about that. I love that. That's so huge. Well, Sara, this has been awesome. I think I would love to have you on the show again, because this has been powerful. You've brought up a lot of principles that not only people can use in their relationship with themselves or their relationships with others, but just in all aspects of life. I think the principles that you've brought up have been powerful today. And I want to thank you for that. Thank you for being on the show. How can, single moms or women, maybe you're married and you're not single, but you're struggling. How can they get in touch with you? Where can they go to find you?
Yeah. I mostly hang out on Instagram. So I am at Sara Call 10, and I can send Jesse a link so you can put these in the show notes for you. Then on Facebook, I'm Sara Call. And I also do have a group right now for single moms. So if you are interested in hanging out with women, and this isn't the typical group, you guys, I know we go on there and we bitch about our exes, and we complain a lot in a lot of the single mom groups, but this single mom group is one that if you are ready to change your life and you need positive women around you, that's what this group is about. There's support, there's a lot of fun. And of course we can talk about the hard times too, but we never focus on them. So if you are a single mom out there, or one that is kind of struggling, send them my way. I would love to reach out and help them out.
That's awesome. And thank you. And yes, I will put these in the notes below. Sara said she would send me those links. And so just click on the link. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I'll have it in the links. If you're watching the YouTube, it'll be down in the description. And thank you. That has been so awesome. This has been an awesome episode, Sara. Thank you so much.
Good. And thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you. And for those who are listening, I hope that you today choose to make your best relationship, because a lot of life is what we make of it. And so I hope you make your best relationship. And with that, I bid you adieu and much love. We'll see you guys.